Welcome to the news section. In this section, we are going to learn in depth about one of the important features in layer 2 network or the switching, that is STP, right? So the term STP stands for Spanning Tree Protocol. So in the next few videos in this section, we'll be learning more in depth about STP. However, before starting to understand about STP, like what is STP, what are the components involved in it, how does it works, what are the features in it. Before that, it's very important for us to understand what are the earlier problems that are faced without STP, or in the other words, why we need STP. Okay, how STP helps us, or what are the problems it uh, addresses. Okay, so if we understand this on a very high level, then in the next videos, like it will be very easy for us to understand more in detail. Okay, why STP needed? In a network, we often connect the switches with multiple paths so that, like, if one link fails, the other can keep the traffic flowing. Okay, so the idea of redundancy is to ensure the reliability and continuous flowing of the traffic, because no single cable or even a switch failure should interrupt the entire LAN network. So, in simple terms, a redundancy is like an alternate road or alternate road to your destination, and it keeps the network alive even during unexpected failures. Okay. So, while redundancy keep the network alive, it also creates multiple active paths between switches. It's very important because you cannot establish or you cannot have two active links between two switches. Okay, it can be on either situation, like between two switches you cannot have two active links, or at the same time, like for an L2 network you cannot have a closed network, like you cannot close it. I'll show you the topology on it. Okay, because the Ethernet does not have the mechanism to stop the traffic from circulating endlessly. Right, this leads to a severe problem such as broadcast ROMs, unstable MAC address table, duplicate frames, which can brings the entire network to down. And this would happen in seconds. Okay, these are all the key disadvantages. Like one is broadcast ROM and MAC table instability, inconsistent database, duplicate frames, and complete network failure. Okay, the entire LAN would be failed, like the entire LAN network would go down within seconds, 2 to 5 seconds maximum. Okay, so let's go one by one. I'll tell you. First of all, broadcast draw, it frames loops infinitely across the redundant links, multiplying them until they consume all the bandwidth. So due to that, like the MAC table which is maintained in all the switches is not stable. Okay, it's keep on flapping, and with the same, like they are interconnected, inconsistent database, the MAC informations will be keep on changing. Okay, let me explain you with simple topology or diagram. So just consider that this is a simple topology where you have a user from this side and you have another user from this side. It can be any two users and there are two different switches, right? And if this user want to connect to this resource, like this user, it should come to switch 1, then it goes to switch 2, then to switch, sorry, then to this user, right? So consider a situation like if there is any issue with this connectivity, like if physically or logically for whatever reason, if the connectivity goes down between switch 1 to switch 2, like you cannot connect from here to here, right? Because the connectivity between this user and this user is going between the switch 1 and switch 2. For some reason, if it's going down, then you cannot connect. So that's the reason usually the redundancy come in picture. Okay, to have the network live, it's always recommended to have a redundant link. That could be of either two different methods you can do it. Either you can establish one more link between these two switches, or you can, based on your topology, you can have another switch where you can bring the traffic like this. Okay, in both cases this the same problem happens. However, it's very easy to understand if we extend the topology like this. Okay, so just consider that you have this kind of a topology, and just to avoid any link failure, like if it goes down, then the entire LAN would go down, right? So to avoid the situation, you put additional switch here, and it is connected like this. Okay, as same, you'll be having multiple users connected to switch 3 also, but however, for our topology we have connected only one user for switch 1 and switch 2. Means I have just shown only one this side and the other user this side. However, there may be multiple PCs or servers or other end devices connected to this switches. All right, so for redundancy we have this switch connected. So basically now we have two paths. I can, from here I can either go like this from switch 1 to switch 2, then to this PC, or I can go to switch 1, then to switch 3, then to switch 2, and here, right? If for some reasons, if this link goes down, no problem, I can still go this way, right? So the network won't go down. However, there is a problem in this topology, like not topology, like considering situation as same. When I want to connect from here to here, you know that for an L2 network, in addition to the IP address, this PC want to know the MAC address of this device for the communication, right? So in order to learn the MAC address, first it will initiate the ARP request, right? So when the ARP request comes to the switch, the functions of the switch will broadcast the ARP, right? So what it would do, except from which source port it received the ARP request, it would forward that ARP request or broadcast that ARP request to all other available ports, right? So in this case, as the broadcast request is coming on this port, it won't broadcast back to this port, okay? And it would forward to all other connected ports. As said earlier, there may be multiple other PCs or other end devices connected to all the three devices. However, I just shown only this thing, okay? So let's focus only on this link now. So when this ARP request comes, then as per this topology or diagram, the same is broadcasted to switch 3 as well as switch 2. Means the link that is connected to switch 3 and the link that is connected to switch 2. Now, switch 3 receives the ARP request from switch 1. The same switch 2 also receives the ARP request from switch 1. Right? Now, let's see from switch 2 perspective. As soon as it receives the ARP request from switch 1, again, except from this port from where it is received, it broadcasts the same request to all other ports, right? In that case, switch 2 is again forwarding that broadcast to switch 3. We need to be very clear, like already switch 1 sent that broadcast to switch 3 already, right? So as we are seeing in switch 2 perspective, now switch 2 also sent that broadcast to switch 3. So switch 3 now has two broadcasts. One is received from switch 1 and the other one is received from switch 2. Leave it. So the same, like it would go to the PC. Anyway, the PC would send back, and you know the other process, right? The PC would send its MAC address. However, what happens now, for the first broadcast which is received from switch 1, except this port, that forwards the broadcast request to this port. However, for the second broadcast that it received from switch 2, that won't broadcast back to this port. It won't do it. It will broadcast to switch 1. Okay, I just shown two ways, but it's for two requests. Okay, the one that's going this side is for the first broadcast that it is received from switch 1, and the one that is coming this side is for the second broadcast that came from switch 2. Okay, now what happens, as soon as this two switches also receives this broadcast, it is again going to forward the same. Like this way, it's going to broadcast endlessly. It's keep on going to broadcast. So for the broadcast message that it received back from switch 3, now switch 1 will broadcast the same to this side, and as same like the switch 3 send a broadcast to this side, right? For that, switch 2 is also going to send it this side. So now as soon as each switch receives the broadcast from the connected device, it's going to broadcast continuously, endlessly. So once this is what we refer to broadcast from. Okay, it cannot be controlled. Once this loop started, like it's going to keep on broadcasting. So when they keep on broadcasting this broadcast term, the MAC address table is not going to be consistent, because like in the step 2, when it gives the MAC address to switch 2 will again give back to both switch 1 and switch 3, right? And switch 1 got the MAC information from switch 2. The same switch 3 is also going to give that MAC information. So switch 1 will first add, say for example, if you want to reach this destination, you should go through this one. Then immediately once it receives the update from this switch, then he will come to know, if you want to reach 20 20 20, go through this one. You got it? So the MAC address table will become inconsistent, and this broadcast from will go endless. And within few seconds, what happened? This it's like a snowball. Okay, when it starts from the top of the hill, it start as a small ball, and when it rolls down the bottom, like it will become a huge giant, right? So same, within a short span, like within 2 to 5 seconds of time, it will uh, completely use the bandwidth, the threshold. Like it will completely choke the bandwidth, and it will use the complete resource of all the three switches, and in 2 to 5 seconds the entire network will go down. Okay, so this is what it is, the broadcast ROM, and that would lead to MAC address instability. And when MAC address table is not instability, obviously the database is not consistent, and due to that you will see duplicate frames forwarded. Few frames are forwarded through this side, and few the same thing is forwarded to this side. Then that's a duplicate transmission, right? And within 2 to 5 seconds the complete network goes down. This is the major problem when you want to build a redundancy network without using STP. Okay, so how STP helps, like we understand that we want to have a redundancy link to avoid any network failure, because redundancy link is very important. If for some reason if one link goes down, we want to have an alternate solution to it. Like for some reason if this is going down, we want to have an alternate solution to reach the destination. But at the same time, this should not create a broadcast ROM or inconsistent MAC address table, right? So we want to use it in an efficient way. So there is a solution to it, and that's what STP is. STP helps to use the redundant link. At the same time, it avoids or stop the broadcast ROMs, or it's actually solving all this problem. Okay, it stops loops by blocking the extra path, but still keeps them ready as a backup if the main link goes down. It's very important. What happens if that is the topology? What it will do, it's not going to physically do anything, just logically, like it's going to shut one path. Means physically it is connected and the topology is set in such a way. However, STP, based on some learnings and it using its mechanism, it's going to put one port as a disable or down, so blocked states, by which it will avoid the loops. Okay. At the same time, physically it is connected. If you just consider the same thing, the topologies remains the same. So once you start using STP, what STP do, it learns the topology and it has some calculating mechanisms. We'll be learning more in detail about STPs and its mechanism in the upcoming videos, but on a high level, just try to understand. It learns the topology and it will put one port as a blocking state. So now if you want to reach from here to here, that traffic would come to switch 1, then it will go to switch 2, then it will go to this PC. Only when if there is some issue with this link, okay, and for some reason if this link goes down, STP immediately sends that, and to avoid network outage, immediately it will bring this port operational. And then in that case, the request comes or the traffic comes to switch 1, it goes to switch 3, and then it comes to switch 2 to reach here. Else it will put one port in the blocking state. Okay, so this is the very important thing, that STP stops the loop by blocking the additional or extra path, but still keeps them ready as a backup. If the main link goes down, immediately it will bring back. Okay, fine. So this is the reason, or this is the Key disadvantages, like if you're not using STP. So in the next video, let's understand more in detail about STP, what are the features that's available in STP, what are the components that is involved, how it works in detail. Right.